Hello and welcome to my channel Inspiring Life Changes. My name's Colette and I'm here today to do the new moon reading, which should have been done on the 24th. Cards have been laid out on the table since the 24th, but unfortunately I didn't get round to doing it. I seem to be doing nothing but apologising this month. Personal reasons, which I'm not going to go into, but I haven't been able to get round to doing this reading. Like I said, the cards have been sitting there waiting, so the energy is from the new moon in Aquarius, and I'm just going to give you a quick rundown astrologically as well as to what the new moon in Aquarius is about. And I don't know how for you out there in the world of YouTube it has affected you, but personally it kind of sideswept me completely with an unexpected bolt out of the blue, which is very much what this new moon in Aquarius has been about. Aquarius is ruled by Uranus and it's all about innovation, it's all about new things coming in, it's all about electricity, the energy of electricity. And interestingly for me today, this thought came into my head about how as we move further into the Aquarian age, which we are moving towards, how the idea of an electric universe is becoming a lot more accepted. I wouldn't say it's completely accepted yet by the scientists out there, but there's a lot more questioning about the idea of us living in an electric universe. And if you break the body system down as well, we are basically electrical impulses too. So there could also be something about that connection coming out as well over this next decade, as to how we really function as human beings with these electrical impulses, because Uranus is all about the electrical world, really, the innovative, the technology, all runs on electricity. And hopefully we'll be getting some breakthroughs with our kind of new innovations and kind of maybe even some things coming out that have been kept hidden from us as well, with this Pluto-Saturn conjunction that's just happened. But with the new moon that took place on the 24th at 4 degrees of Aquarius, we also had 2 days before the sun making squares over to Taurus, where Uranus is at 2 degrees. So the sun and Uranus have been squaring. And then a few days, and also, sorry, at the same time as it was squaring to Uranus, it was also making a semi-sextile over to Chiron, which is all about healing the self in Aries, very much about our needs, which I have spoken about in previous videos as well, if anybody wants to go and check them out, about how our needs are being healed on a deeper level, and particularly when it comes to the masculine side of things as well. So 2 days previous, on the 22nd, we had the sun make these squares and semi-sextile to Chiron, and then 2 days after that, on the new moon, not long before the exact new moon, the moon itself made the same aspects. So the moon squared over to Uranus, and it also semi-sextiled, sextiled, didn't semi-sextile, it sextiled, as did the sun. I said semi, but it wasn't semi, it was a sextile over to Chiron, the wounded healer, parts of ourselves that need to be expressed and wounded and healed, that have been wounded for a long time now. Which are kind of playing out on the collective kind of stage as well. You can see a lot of these kind of masculine wounds coming out. So that is a very interesting energy. And also at the same time we had Neptune in Pisces, where it's been for quite a few years now, sitting there with Venus conjuncting it, which is actually exact conjunction today as I speak. They are actually coming together in an exact conjunction. Neptune and Pisces are meeting up, but at the same time that they're meeting up, they're making a square over to Mars in Sagittarius. So there's a lot of tension between the masculine and the feminine as well at the moment, because that's what squares are about. So the Uranus new moon square has been very much about the tension between kind of the change and just kind of things moving fast for the new moon as well, because the moon moves fast. Although in saying that, the new moon energy will last right up until the 8th of February when we have the full moon as well. So the energy of the new moon is going to be around for the next couple of weeks, affecting us all, as is the Saturn-Pluto conjunction, which is still taking place, although they are no longer exact and they are kind of moving away by 1 degree. There is 1 degree difference between them now. Pluto is still at 23 degrees, so that Saturn has moved on to 24 degrees, but that is still a conjunction. And it will be an ongoing conjunction for quite some time. So the kind of energy that's around at this moment in time is very disruptive and very unexpected and very kind of shocking and very kind of electrically charged as well. And we're all kind of ready to move on to something new. We're all kind of wanting to get rid of that old stagnant energy and move into something new. And kind of, you know, we want to rush this along maybe, because the Aquarius energy can be quite kind of, or Uranus especially, can be quite kind of like fast moving, like get this done now. So let me just take a look at my notes. So the Chiron energy is also playing a large part as well in that healing process that we're needing to go through, especially with Neptune and Pisces kind of meeting up as well, and that kind of Neptune holding the vision and kind of Venus saying, you know, what is it that you really want here? What is it that you love? What is it you value? What is it that you are aiming for to kind of create and to bring into your personal world, as well as on a larger scale as well. And there's also something new within the self as well with this Chiron energy, this kind of something new that's kind of being rebirthed in a way, or birthed, some old, like some part of us that has kind of died and is no longer who we were, and we're kind of moving very slowly into this awareness that we ourselves are changing, and kind of, you know, we're kind of changing with the energies. As the energies change, we are having to change, because we're no longer able to go back and kind of live that past 500 years since Pluto and Saturn met up together. That has kind of had to shift and move away, and it is going to happen slowly but surely. So this new moon is very much about kind of, it's energetic, it's dynamic, it's about new ideas, thoughts. It's kind of very supported by the Mars energy as well. But there could be, like I said, there could be tension between the masculine and the feminine energy. It's also quite a kind of, I wouldn't say isolating moon, but it's kind of quite individual. The Aquarius energy is kind of finding the individual within the collective. So you could find yourself kind of wanting more space and more time to yourself as well over the next week or so, and just feeling like that you need to kind of have your own space to be able to work through your own issues, as well as kind of the new ideas that may be coming in and whether or not they fit with your future plans. Also, there could be a lot of endings at this new moon as well, a lot of things finalized, not being able to go forward with you, and that could also feel a little bit like discorded, maybe like a kind of energy that's not quite gelling, a kind of jarring energy, a bit like electric shock maybe even in the system as well. You're feeling that your system is kind of recharging, and if something doesn't quite fit in, you may feel as though it's kind of, you know, you're getting a kind of jarring like electric shock feeling. That's the kind of feel that I'm getting from this. So those are really the overall energies at this moment in time. Jupiter, of course, is also still in Capricorn, along with Saturn and Pluto, which is why the 500 years, oh, well, actually going back to 1200 years, is because Saturn, Pluto and Jupiter haven't joined up together since the 1200s. So big energy shifts, big energy changes. A lot of kind of, yeah, disruptive energies, a lot of change, a lot of shocks out of the blue, especially for people who are used to kind of not seeing things on a higher level, shall we say. So for people who kind of live very much in a kind of mundane, very kind of repetitive world, they may find themselves kind of being forced to wake, because that's another thing about Uranus as well. It is that kind of, you know, wake up energy. It is that kind of, it is the awakening, and it's kind of taking place within this kind of Taurus energy of the physical reality as well. And there is a lot of planets in the sign of Earth, with the Saturn and Pluto and Jupiter. The big planets are all kind of still in Earth. So it's all about the physical reality. It's all about kind of where we live, you know, kind of our life story is all about the physical. But the kind of Aquarius energy is kind of moving in to say, like, you know, there's another level to this that you need to wake up to and become more aware of. Uranus is all about the higher mind. It's all about kind of the, how can you put, the higher thinking mind, the God collective, if you like, the divine, the kind of more out beyond, because it's beyond Saturn. It's beyond Saturn being the last planet that we can see physically with our eyes. Uranus is beyond that as well. So it's more the kind of universal energy that's out there that is kind of brought down, and it's been brought down to Earth and grounded through Taurus and the Saturn and Jupiter and Pluto energies at the moment as well. So that's everything I'm going to talk about astrologically today. This is a reading for the new moon, but it's a collective reading for the new moon as well. Like I said, I did lay it out previously on the new moon, and I was going to do the reading, and I personally got a bolt out of the blue. So I will start this reading with the first card. I'm doing the Celtic Cross, which I have laid other cards over the top of as well. So I will go through the Celtic Cross and explain it, the cards as and when I feel the need for them. First energy that we have here, this kind of energy that surrounds this reading for all of us at the moment on a collective level. The Knight of Pentacles in reverse is saying to me, this is kind of a Uranus kind of energy in a way, or a Taurus energy in the fact that it's quite kind of, it's a grounding energy, it's a stable energy, it's a very kind of slow moving energy, it's a very kind of, it is earth energy, very kind of connected to the earth energy. When it's upside down, it's saying to me that there's something that's not being recognized. He's got his pentacle here, which talks about the value of things. And we could kind of even talk about the Uranus in Taurus energy of asking us, you know, what is true value? What do we truly value? And why do we truly value it? Is it all about the material world? Is it all just about what we have, our possessions, what we own? Or is it more about a bigger picture? Is it more about kind of, this kind of reminds me of the individual within the collective, because I get a very strong sense of independent energy with this card. A kind of self-learning. When it's up this way, I see it very much as a kind of independent, somebody who's learning lessons by their own experiences, in a way, their own, like they really kind of understand on a physical level what it is that they need to do and how to do it. But when it's up this way, I just get the feeling that it's very much talking about that maybe there's a over independence, maybe there's a kind of an insular energy as well here, that the lessons aren't being learnt. And this could also have a lot to do with the earth herself as well. And you see the bees in the background here, and it's a very fertile card, very green, very lush, very heart energy. It always kind of reminds me, green, of the heart chakra. And maybe we are feeling disconnected from nature, maybe we are feeling disconnected from our heart chakra energy, and maybe we do need to get back out into nature. And of course the Aquarius energy is very much the opposite, because the Aquarius energy is about kind of the movement towards more technology and the movement towards more, you know, like the internet is ruled by Aquarian energy and Uranus energy. So it's kind of like, you know, we kind of even have these glasses now, I can't think what they're called, but basically you can put them on and you can be in a different reality, and it's like you can feel it and you can touch it, but it's not, or you feel like it looks like you can, but it's not real. And that's very Aquarian energy, where it's kind of like, you know, you can step outside your door, or you can get in your car and you can drive somewhere and you can actually walk in the real thing. Whereas the Aquarian energy is about kind of saying, well, you don't actually have to do that anymore, because we can provide it for you in a kind of technological fashion, so that you no longer actually have that connection with nature. So it can also be a kind of disconnect from that as well, and that could also be talking about that here, because it's come out with the Four of Cups over the top. And the Four of Cups to me always talks about some emptiness, about something missing within us, something that we kind of try to fill in a different way. And that could definitely be the kind of thing that I was just talking about, of this kind of false reality, if you like, because I like to see this card a bit as the shopaholics, you know, people who kind of fill their lives with lots of stuff, and they go out and they buy more stuff, and they kind of, it hangs in the wardrobe and you don't necessarily do anything with it, and all it's about is just kind of feeding that emptiness that is actually within the self. But it doesn't actually ever work. It doesn't actually ever feed that emptiness. That emptiness just kind of gets bigger and bigger and bigger and more consuming, until you just end up kind of just having a house full of stuff, which is what I feel this is kind of talking about on the Taurus level of possessions. And because Taurus is very much about what we own and what we can own as well. You know, it is very kind of status driven in a way, Taurus. It is kind of like, you know, because everything comes from the earth. I can have all this stuff and I can kind of indulge myself and kind of really, what's the word I'm thinking of, kind of very sensual energy as well, Taurus energy. So it's kind of like feeding, it's pleasure, it's kind of feeding all the senses. And Taurians are very much known for kind of that side of themselves, of finding pleasure through the senses. And this card, because it's a challenge here, is kind of saying to me, you know, there's a need for us here to stop feeding ourselves with all this stuff and to go within, because it's a 4, and 4 usually talks about a need for kind of a foundation being a square, it's to do with foundation and kind of building on something. Which is why these 4 cups are here as well, because it's saying that, you know, this foundation is still solid here. But there is a need for us to kind of look within and really see, because these 2 sisters kind of represent those voices in our head of asking ourselves, what is it that we really want on an emotional level? Because it's cups, it's all about the emotions. So are our emotions being met? Are we satisfied with what we have? Is it giving us emotionally what we need? So that's the challenge that we have here. And in the head space, collectively at the moment, we have the Magician. And for me, this is kind of the new moon in Aquarius energy, in the sense that this is about us manifesting something from beyond, because that's what the Magician does. He has his hand pointed up here and this hand pointed down, and he's saying, like, you know, this is the idea realm, this is the realm where everything kind of starts, and this is the realm where it all kind of comes together. So this is about the tools that we gather emotionally, creatively, mentally, in order to kind of bring it into the physical, which is what the Pentacle for me is all about. So the sword is about the thinking mind, the logic. The caduceus wand here is all about the creativity that we have to bring to something. And the cups is about the emotion that we put into it and how much it feeds us back and how much we feed into it, whatever it may be. But consciously, collectively, it is like we are preparing ourselves, standing at a crossroads. It is almost like the world is standing on that crossroads at the moment. And we are getting ready to manifest a new beginning, something new, something different, something that has a lot more kind of well, very Aquarian type of energy, really, which is all about the individual within the collective, and how kind of we have to recognize ourselves as being of value within the collective as well, which I think is something else here as well, that we kind of value who we are by what we have or what we earn. And you cannot put a price on your own, like your self-worth. That can't be put into money. Your self-worth is very much to do with your individual experience. And seeing yourself as something much more important and valuable. It is like kind of, again with the bees as well, if you think of the bees, how the bees work, I mean the bees are amazing, similar to ants as well in a way, but they all have their kind of place within the hive, and they all kind of know their job's worth and the value of it, and none of them are kind of really less or more important. I mean, admittedly you have the queen, but basically, I mean, what she does is give birth to lots of other baby bees. So, you know, she's given the most value because of the fact that she creates more bees, without which, you know, the race would die out. There would be no more bees. But they are all individual within one hive. So they have this kind of hive mind, if you like, where they kind of all are working for the greater good of the bees system. But they are at the same time individual. And I feel that maybe that's kind of where we need to kind of look at how our world in itself has been, because there is a very similar energy with how we think and how we kind of respond and behave and educate and, you know, fit in. But to me, this is kind of saying, you know, we are at a new path. We need to choose how we're going to go forward, how we're going to manifest something. What are we going to manifest? And we have underneath this, in our conscious awareness, the very card of Mother Earth. So I do think this has got a big part to play in it. These are kind of very, you know, I was saying earlier about this Mother Earth energy here. And as we move forward, we are, I think, going to have to start realising that everything that we get comes from Mother Earth. Here, she's kind of permanently pregnant with potential. It's like if you take a seed and you put it into soil, it will, if you nurture it and take care of it, it will grow into something. It will become more than the seed. So the potential of what the seed will become is already within the seed. It's already planted there. It just takes us. It doesn't even take us, really. It just takes kind of nature to take care of it, of itself. But we, being the beings that kind of live on this beautiful planet, we have the ability to take care and be responsible for our actions on this planet, and we have unfortunately been very irresponsible for a long time. We've polluted the rivers, the seas. The world is covered in plastic. I mean, I can't believe how much plastic there is everywhere you go. I mean, even up the side of buildings now, you're getting plastic plants. And I just think, why plastic? You've got the real thing. Why can you not just use the real thing, which is going to clean the air? And it's like, nope, we'll just use plastic. And plastic is destructive. It's a horrible substance. It doesn't biodegrade easily. It's around for a long time. And people want to cover their lawns in plastic because it's easier than mowing it or taking care of it. So there's this whole kind of, like, you know, there's this whole kind of awakening that needs to happen here. And I feel very strongly that this is what this new moon is about. And because Uranus is in Taurus, which is really this energy, Taurus does represent Mother Earth in so many ways. And it also talks about the cycles of time as well. The smaller cycles that we go through on a monthly basis, the yearly cycles, the decades, the centuries. And then if you go beyond that, there's the bigger cycle of the zodiac as well. And the precession of the equinoxes, where things change, which is why we're moving out of the age of Pisces and into the age of Aquarius. If you don't know about the precession of the equinoxes, I suggest you go and look up that information, because it is very interesting information. Very, very interesting. And it explains how we move out of one age and into another age. And we always move backwards. A bit like the nodes of the moon, always moving backwards. So that to me is what this energy is about. It's in the subconscious at the moment. So it's kind of bubbling up to the surface. There's more and more people that are becoming aware of it. But for me, it's about us, everybody individually, kind of taking care of this on a collective level, which also includes, you know, what do we put down our sinks? What do we put on our bodies? how much unnatural products do we use? And I was thinking the other day as well about how the prices of these natural products are so high that it's almost like, you know, it's become a privilege of the rich to be able to take care of the earth, if you like. But unfortunately, there's not enough awareness about it. There really isn't enough awareness about it. But your products that you put on your body, if you look and if you read the labels, they can be quite scary. There's a lot of things in them that don't need to be in them. There is a shift. There is a shift. There's a lot more plant-based products coming out. But like I said, a lot of them are very expensive. And it does beg the question as to why is it a privilege of kind of people who have the money to be able to afford to do that, to be the kind of, you know, the ones that are going to save the planet, but will they, you know? Is it the money that's going to make the difference? That's just my personal thought on it. Anyway, this card here came out with the Three of Earth. I'll put it here so it's easier to see. The Three of Earth. There is a bit of reflection here in these cards as well. Sorry about that. I'll try and find the best spot. So the Three of Earth is about taking a risk. But it's also her kind of looking, if you look here, it's almost like she's looking ahead to the future. She's kind of looking into the horizon. It came out reversed. So again, I get this feeling that there could be this kind of, oh, you know, how much longer is this going to take? How much longer before we actually start realizing what we're doing, how much damage? There's a feeling here that she's kind of almost become embedded in, like, she's been in this place for so long now. And I think that some of us have been. I think there's a lot of aware people out there who feel very strongly that this is where they've been, and it's almost like a lot of us are saying, come on, you know, are you seeing this yet? Are you awakening to this yet? Are you going to come and join the rest of us that have been kind of standing here for so long now, waiting for this change to occur? And that's the kind of feeling that I get from this. Almost like this has become, she's almost become like a statue. Or like a stump of a tree somehow. Like she's blending into the background. She's kind of blending into nature. She's kind of becoming a part of that story. Because there's not, you know, it's like I've been here a long time and I've been waiting all this time for something new to occur. So I feel that that could also be the story for quite a few people out there on a collective level. And because what we have moving away is the Star of Hope. And this is where we've been, if you like. It's a Major Arcana card, and it's kind of saying that we've been here for quite some time. And we've got quite a few Major Arcana cards already. We've had the Magician and the Empress and the Star as well now. So for me, this literally is all the kind of suffering that we've had to go through over the last 500 years, since 1200s, all the things that we've had to put ourselves through in order to kind of learn life's lessons. It's generational, but it could be, if you believe in reincarnation, it could also be connected to that story as well, of where we come back and we kind of continue on kind of learning, growing, soul's evolution. But this is Pandora, who's kind of opened this box of all the diseases and the illnesses and things. And all the things that we, like I said, have to go through and suffer. But at the very bottom of this box, there is this beautiful star, and it's kind of saying, don't give up hope. Don't give up. I believe, was her name Hope? I'm not sure if it was. I might be going off on a tangent there, so I'm not going to go down that road. But basically, this is the star that's known as the Star of Hope. It's also a kind of angel as well. And it's saying to me, because it's been around, because it's a major arcana card, it's been around for a while, and it is kind of saying, you know, that maybe this is kind of the world has got to this stage where we're kind of beginning to hope again that something can improve, something can, it's like we can feel something in the air, feel that something's changing, feel that something's shifting, feel that we're getting beyond all of this. Even though if you looked out into the mainstream news, it would want to give you a totally different story. And the story very much at the moment is all about what's going on in China. I don't want to say too much because I don't know what would happen to my video if I did. But there is this kind of fear as well. There's a lot of fear involved in this, and there's a kind of feeling of one thing after another. It's kind of almost like you've dealt with one thing and then another thing just kind of comes along. And this is collective. This is kind of what we as a collective on the human family have had to deal with. So generations as well, going back. If you look into your own family generational history, you can see what your own parents, grandparents, great-grandparents, etc., had to deal with throughout these times. And in a way, we kind of forget this as well. We kind of forget what our ancestors had to go through in order for us to be where we are today. But there is this feeling of something new coming, something shifting, something changing. The old dying, the new arising. And I think that's what this is saying to me here, that the new is arising. And I think that's what this Magician card is also saying. You know, it's almost like the Magician is pointing up to this star and saying, look, you know, there's a new dawn coming. Not just a new dawn, but a whole new era coming in. A whole new way of doing things. Saturn and Pluto do not come together, and Jupiter in the same sign all that often. And of course at the time we also had Mercury there as well. When that Saturn-Pluto conjunction took place, we had Mercury. We also had Ceres as well, who is the goddess of grain. She was there as well. And there was also another asteroid there as well, which most people haven't heard of, who is the wife of Chiron, which is an interesting story, which I might talk about another time at a later date. So that's the, or maybe actually, I mean, this could also represent this star here. She could represent that star because she, this wife of Chiron, and interestingly enough, when Chiron was discovered, we started getting more healing modalities like chiropractic and acupuncture and all those things kind of coming out in the West and becoming much more accepted and much more mainstream. And that's what happened when Chiron, which is why we have the word chiropractic and etc. They all became more mainstream, and she also has been discovered, I think it was back in 77, 79, something like that. But as of yet, her story is yet to be told. But she was actually thinking about it. Sorry, I've just got rather excited there. But when she was discovered, astrologically in the sky there was an alignment which made up a 6-pointed star. So I'm going to give this star, that particular asteroid, and whose name is totally eluding me now, which is absolutely typical. I can't think what her name is. She's the wife of Chiron, and what she does is she holds sacred space for healing to take place. And it was her who looked after Chiron when he fell ill. And she nursed him, and she held that space for him in order to be able to survive, even though he never actually fully recovered. She held that healing space there for him. And that particular asteroid was right on top of Saturn and Pluto at the time of that conjunction. And her story is going to become, I feel, a lot more known. I think it's going to start coming out a lot more, and more astrologers are going to start talking about her. And I just feel, and I've just kind of got goosebumps and what have you, I feel that this is her here, holding that sacred space for us. And it's come out with a number of different cards. And I'm going to have to watch the time here because it's moving on fast. So it's come out with the 8 of Cups, which is the story of kind of walking away from something, the story of leaving. For me, this is about us leaving the past. This is about us moving away from what no longer works from us, a kind of recognition, and also a kind of realization that it's kind of led us to where we had to be. Because I think that's what this boat always represents life for me. So the boat is kind of saying, you know, I've taken you this far, if you like, and now you have to kind of start your journey. There's a fresh journey here. There's something new. It's kind of like, you know, it's time to leave where you've come from behind. This is the past. And it's also coming out with the 3 of Water, which for me kind of represents that energy of acceptance, not acceptance. Most people see it as a celebratory card. I always kind of see it as that time, that period after the kind of initial celebration, the initial coming together of something, usually to do with 2 people, but the initial coming together of getting something kind of created. Because it's cups, it's normally to do with emotions as well. But it's about, for me, that time when you have to decide whether or not you're going to continue with something or whether you're going to walk away from it. That is literally what it represents to me. It's like, am I going to put my time and my energy and my effort into this, or do I walk away? Because here she's kind of half accepting this and half not. And anybody who's watched my videos in the past will know how I see the pearls as well as being something that is created out of something that's an irritant to the oyster. It's an actual beautiful gem that is created, which means that a relationship can become something really beautiful, but you know, it's going to have its trials and its tribulations and its kind of irritations and its, you know, are you just going to gloss over it, or are you going to work through these things? So for me, there is this kind of element of that as well. Also, it kind of represents, or looks to me a bit like a question mark there as well. But that's the energy that I get from this. And then we have the Hermit, which has come out in reverse. And the Hermit to me talks about a kind of reluctance. If you look at these 3 cards, kind of like walking away from something, realizing that it's no longer working for you, so you're no longer going to put your time and your energy and your effort into it. And the Hermit is talking about kind of going within and seeking the answers, which is what the keys here represent for me? So there could be a feeling of, because it's in reverse, a feeling of like, I don't really want to do this as well, because his kind of face in the door here is kind of half in and half out. So there could also be a feeling that, you know, do I have time to do this? Do I actually, you know, I've got so much else I need to do. I've got to, you know, I've got to carry on my work, my family, my life in general. I've got to take care of myself. But this Hermit energy is kind of saying on a collective scale as well that we need to look within to seek our answers, to find the keys, to open the door to something new here. But we may not feel that we have that ability or that time or that inclination even. So that's, these cards have all come out with the star energy as well. It's feeling maybe of like, you know, being overwhelmed as well by all this and not necessarily focusing on this beautiful star here. So I'm trying to rush this along a wee bit now. We have the Three of Swords that's also come out in the future in reverse. And the Three of Swords is always a situation of something painful, going through a painful situation, and a situation that you maybe don't see as being of benefit, of being, that it's like, you know, it hurts so much that you can't see any purpose for it. You can't see, it's just like, why do I have to go through this? Why do I have to feel this? Why, what, you know, what was the reason for that happening? But the Three of Swords to me also talks about a kind of cathartic energy, in the sense that it kind of has a healing, which can also be the star as well, as I was talking about earlier. This star has a healing quality to it. But and the reason that it has this kind of cathartic energy about it as well is because we kind of see through something. It's almost like we kind of realise that we've been living in this kind of bubble, if you like, of how we thought something was, but it actually isn't that way. And I think there's going to be a lot of this coming up over the next decade. Well, next couple of years, definitely, if not longer. I think there's going to be a lot of kind of things that come out that are unexpected and people aren't aware of and people aren't prepared for, and people are going to be hurt by it. People are going to feel that they put their trust in something that didn't turn out to be honest, truthful. People are going to feel like they've been stabbed literally in the heart. People are literally going to feel like, and it's in reverse as well, so I feel that this is going to be something that's going to really hit home hard. And so I asked for a confirmation energy for, well, basically I asked for a confirmation energy for this card, but it came out with this card and over the top of these as well. So the energy is the King of Air, and the King of Air is all about truth. It's all about perception, seeing through things. And it is almost like this is what's going to happen from this energy here. We are going to kind of maybe collectively waken up to this and to how life has really been and how we've really been, what we thought was true, which I feel is kind of this energy here, as opposed to what actually is true. And it's kind of saying, you know, wake up to the truth, wake up to the facts, wake up to what you don't want to see, what you don't want to acknowledge. Because it's swords again, it's all about kind of the mental realm as well. So it's kind of saying that there's this overall energy of disbelief, painful situation. But we need to be strong, we need to stand firm, we need to kind of I get the feeling of respect each other's process from this as well. Respect how people are going to react to this and how they're going to see it, how people are going to perceive it. Because it's going to be different for everybody. There's those that are already kind of aware and ready and awoken to what's coming. And then there's those that are just going to be completely devastated, is what I'm getting. And the King of Air is kind of a change of thinking, seeing, perceiving. It's saying that there's going to be this kind of understanding that goes beyond, a kind of feeling of an unmasking as well, removal of the mask of how we thought things were and opposed to how they actually are. So that's the energy that I get there, and then we move into the situation. And we have the Ace of Cups, which is a beautiful card. And it's saying to me, this is very kind of Neptune Pisces energy at the moment. This is the energy of love, deep love, deep love, big love. Love on a huge scale. If you see this big cup here, it's kind of like, you know, it's time for us to fill this cup up individually and collectively. And to fill it up, because at the moment the Aquarian energy, as I was saying earlier, is quite kind of individual, in the sense of, you know, we might almost want to kind of distance ourselves from other people at this moment in time. Even in relationships, we might just feel, I need my space, I need to be able to process, I need to be able to work through whatever it is that's happened or what is happening around you. But this card is saying, don't forget there is love. Don't forget there is always love. And that if you're coming from this space, even sometimes when it seems as though kind of things are oblique, are, I hesitate to use the word evil, can't think of any other word really, but behind all this painful energy, there is still this love. There's still kind of blue skies and this kind of new energy of caring for ourselves, caring for each other. And a recognition also of a divine love as well. That love is bigger than us. That love is bigger. But it's about something much more, yeah, divine. And something that's constant as well. Even though we might not feel it or see it, it is always there. A bit like kind of, you know, the waves constantly coming in and going out and coming in and going out. It's kind of like, you know, it ebbs and it flows, but it's always there. So there may also be saying, you know, that this is a new way of dealing with our emotions. This is a new energy that's coming in for us to kind of individually and collectively look at our emotions in a different way, because this is Neptune and Pisces. So this is, Neptune's all about kind of the bigger ocean, the vastness. And love is kind of like that. It is kind of like an ocean of love, a kind of vastness out there. And it's kind of being a little fish in a very big ocean. And then we have the card of how other people view the situation. So I'm going to kind of say that this is how all of us are viewing it. And again, it's a earth card. So it is all about kind of the grounding, the security, the physical realm, how we look after ourselves, how we take care of ourselves, our value for ourselves as well. So I think this really is kind of the message that's coming through quite strongly for me with all this kind of earth energy that is here at this present time, is that this is very much about how we nurture and value ourselves, and also nurture and value each other. And that if we can't nurture and value ourselves, then we can't really take care of somebody else or take care of our environment as well. Because this is Taurus energy too. I've got the bull here. There's even a bull in the background there, or a cow. Not sure which, but it's Taurus energy. And it's very lush, it's very green, it's very heart energy connected again, nature. And it's saying to me that there's a very strong, because she's a very motherly figure as well. She's very much like the kind of minor arcana empress energy. So she has this driving need. She likes to kind of take care of other people, but she also really does know how to value herself as well. When she's in the upright position especially, she knows her value, she knows her worth, she knows that she knows her divinity in many ways. She knows her connection to the earth. She knows that everything that she is comes from the earth, comes from here on a physical level. Everything that she is, everything that she creates physically only comes from here. So it's a very kind of nurturing, caring, mothering, secure energy, which is possibly what we're all looking for at the moment as well, because the moon's node, is in Cancer. And although this isn't a Cancer energy, Cancer is all about home and the family, and this is very much, the Taurus energy is about that kind of earthy mother, the earth mother. You know, if you go back to the goddess kind of time, where, you know, the little statues and things were all very kind of, you know, fecund and big breasted, and kind of that was a representation, shall we say, of Mother Earth. This kind of energy of, you know, babies being fed from the mother, not artificially, but being fed via the mother. And you know, the earth would feed the mother would feed the child. That kind of connection, that kind of, and that's kind of what's in a way missing in our society as well. Also the role of the mother as well, that could also be an issue here as well, the role of the mother, because that has changed enormously. And the value of the feminine, this could also be something to do with Aries as well, in Aries, and the energy that's going on there. But I get the feeling it's more about the kind of mother in the respect of the feminine energy, the Taurian energy of the mother being kind of not as valued as it has been in the past, shall we say, and how we kind of need to shift those those values again back to how important the mother is in society. And then we have our hopes and our fears, which we have the Ten of Cups in reverse. Hope and fear. Ten of Cups in reverse. If it's up the right way, the Ten of Cups talks about a divine connection. And this for me kind of represents relationships at this moment in time, and how very few are really in a divine connection. How very few of us have found our soulmate, have found the one that we want to spend the rest of our lives with. And I even think that's for a lot of people that have been married for many years as well, who thought that they were with their divine soulmate. But for one reason or another, it turns out that that's not the case. And so there's a fear here as well. There's a fear that we're going to have to kind of leave something maybe that we didn't think would ever change. And it's come out with the Four of Water, which earlier we had here as well as the Four of Cups. So again, it's that sense of kind of emptiness for me, that kind of feeling that, you know, something that you once thought you had is no longer there. And it's kind of, you know, there's a lot of people out there who are hoping that they're going to find that soulmate. They're going to find that one person that they can spend their entire life with. Somebody they can grow with. Somebody who really understands them on a kind of soul level, every level. And is quite happy for them to be who they are without kind of trying to change it or resist it. And that goes for both partners, masculine, feminine, and also same-sex partners as well. I feel that there's this very kind of, how can you put it, this kind of real disillusioned energy about relationships at the moment. That they're not everything they're cracked up to be. And a lot of that, I think, as well, is down to the fact that we have, like, you know, experienced Saturn and Pluto last meeting up in Libra, which is all about relationships. And when that took place, the whole kind of, which was back in like 82, 83, the whole idea of marriage kind of changed. Divorces kind of skyrocketed, and people no longer felt that they had to stay with their partner for kind of through everything. You know, marriage vows no longer were a binding kind of chain, shall we say. Yeah, whereas in the past you stayed with that person regardless of whether you were happy or not. I think I've spoken about this before, but I feel that that's quite a strong issue around collectively at the moment, and that we are wanting. It's not that we don't want to be with somebody, we just don't want to be with somebody that we don't have that connection with anymore. It's like all or nothing. It has to be. It has to be the right energy. And if that energy isn't there, then it's not going to work. And people are just not going to feel comfortable staying in those relationships any longer. And it's going to be hard. It's going to have a lot of kind of leave a lot of empty spaces in a lot of people's lives. And I think that's what this card is here. Again, and this kind of need for something else. Maybe that's also why people are turning a lot more to pets as well, to kind of fill that space. People aren't having as many children. They're kind of having more animals as their children, in a way. And possibly that is because there's been a lot of broken homes. and people have come from a lot of bad experiences, shall we say, in the past, and they don't want to do the same again. So they're putting their love elsewhere, putting their love into something that kind of is unconditional in a way. And I think maybe that's also what this card is about. It's like this need for unconditional love. And our final card here in the collective reading is the Queen of Cups in reverse. Now she's an interesting character, the Queen of Cups, because she doesn't really have, although she does, which is a bit bizarre, and I'll just explain what I'm trying to say here, her own identity. She has the ability to kind of take on other people's projections. Usually, because it's Queen of Cups, it relates to the water energies. It relates to Cancer, Scorpio and Pisces. And you will usually find that this energy, people with a lot of water in their charts will have, in their natal chart, I will be putting a link, by the way, in the description box down below while I remember, for you to go and check out your own natal chart and see what's going on, where the planets are for yourselves in your personal horoscopes. People with a lot of water in their chart will have this kind of ability. They make excellent actors and actresses. I still like to use the word actress, even though everybody's known as an actor these days. Again, the feminine energy discarded, same as kind of like the goddess no longer is a relevant energy in the whole religion thing. So I like to kind of bring back the feminine energy, and this to me is again the very feminine energy. She's very intuitive, she's very insightful, she's very introspective. What else? The energy of intuition, really strong intuition, but it's in reverse as well, and it's the last card, so it's kind of the outcome of this reading, apart from one card that kind of joins the last two cards and this card together, which I will get round to. But she's the last card of the actual Celtic Cross reading, the outcome. She kind of literally sits here in her emotion. She's so kind of immersed in who she is here. And she has this beautiful kind of green, more green than blue kind of dress that she wears here, which is very much kind of heart chakra energy for me. She's coming very much from her heart. It's all about her heart. It's all about her feelings. It's all about her emotions. But I get the feeling here, again, this could also have something to do with this energy of this kind of feeling that relationships have been very painful. And because of that, we're kind of not trusting our own instincts and our own knowing and our own understanding of relationships. And this could also have a lot to do with of the past experiences, as I was kind of mentioning earlier. Broken homes, a lot of broken hearts. Also this energy here. And there could also be a lot of people who are kind of projecting their own, not so much fears, but their own emotional stories onto other people as well, rather than kind of owning them themselves. That projected energy. Because she's known as a cipher in the Greek. The Queen of Cups is known as a cipher, and basically a cipher means that it's kind of somebody who has the ability to reflect something back at you, like a mirror almost. So she can take on board other people's projections of how they believe something to be, and often she can cause disruption in relationships, because the energy that she is not necessarily who she actually is. But I get the feeling that this is about a kind of a lack of trust of our own emotions, our own feelings, our own instincts, and we have kind of been very much more kind of guided, if you like, or pushed or forced, or however you like to put it, into being kind of very much more of the logical mind. It's all come from here. Even relationships kind of been from here rather than from a really open heart space. And so the trusting of our emotions and the trusting of our instincts and the kind of really allowing our heart chakras to be open enough is something that we probably have kind of shut down. We've probably kind of, a lot of us collectively have kind of shut down to that energy. And I think that's what this is saying here. And the last card that came out with this is the Sun, but it's in reverse. But the Sun kind of says to me, because it's a major arcana card, even though it's in reverse, the Sun is kind of saying to me that there is change occurring here. And it connected this card and this card as well. So there was a connecting energy here with these cards. And so the Sun to me is saying that this is going to be a kind of slower process. This kind of seeing things clearer and feeling things clearer is going to take time. It's not something that we're just going to kind of just allow instinct to just kind of suddenly collectively kind of change our lives, if you like. But there is an awakening. Again, it's a feminine card, which I really like as well. The fact that this Sun is a feminine energy rather than the kind of really masculine kind of seen as the kind of dynamic, because it kind of says, you know, that the masculine and the feminine energy are within all of us. That's what this card kind of says to me. That although the Sun is masculine, there's also this feminine side to it as well. And so because it's in reverse, I kind of see this more as a kind of warming energy rather than a kind of blasting, illuminating, fast happening kind of, you know, turn the light on and all of a sudden the dark kind of disappears. It's not so much that, it's more kind of a gradual warming, a gradual kind of heating, a gradual kind of awareness, almost like, you know, turn the radiator on and the room slowly heats up, that kind of thing, rather than it just being this blast, fast kind of changing energy of this particular situation in our life on a collective scale as well, of our emotions. And it's kind of almost kind of like us kind of coming to this realization that we need to, and I feel this quite strongly as well, because there's a lot of feminine energy that has come out within this, and I feel that the feminine energy is playing a huge part in what is going to take place over the next decade. Because Capricorn as well is a feminine sign, even though it's often not seen as a feminine sign, it is a feminine earth energy. So there is also that to it as well. The feminine energy is kind of really highlighted at the moment. Neptune in Pisces with Venus there as well, that's another feminine energy. Uranus in Taurus is another feminine energy. So astrologically, there is a lot of feminine energy that is kind of kick-starting things. So those are the messages that I have for you on a collective new moon, also conjunct, new moon conjunction with, not conjunct, sorry, new moon squaring Uranus and Sextile in Chiron, which I will put in the full title as well so that it makes more sense to anybody who listens to the video, and they can go back and see what on earth is she on about. Anyway, hopefully this will have helped on some scale, on some level, for you to kind of understand. If you have any comments, if you want to know any more about what I've been speaking about, please leave a comment for me in the comment section below, and I will get back to you and try and give you as good an answer as I can possibly give you. And also, if you like my video, can you like it up for me please, so that it gets out into the bigger mainstream YouTube world, because apparently the more likes it has, the more YouTube puts it out into their stream. And also, could you subscribe to my channel, because I'm really trying to grow it. Like I said, I do new moon, full moon videos. Normally I would do them at the right time, and also I like to do them on the actual day that it's happening, just so I can get kind of a full feeling of the energies that are taking place. Also, could you tap the bell to get future videos as well? I have a whole month's, well, not quite a month's worth of videos. I've been putting out 2020 videos, which I'm still trying to catch up with myself on as well, because I haven't been able to do that for the last couple of days. And I had lots of other things. Like I said, I seem to have been doing nothing but apologising since the beginning of January for not having got this done. But I am trying to grow my channel. I am trying to get around to actually doing this on a much more kind of consistent basis, shall we say. So if you want to receive more, please tap the bell. And thank you for anybody who has subscribed so far. Also, thank you very much for watching my video. If you think that it's going to help anybody else, please share it. And I will hopefully see you back again soon. Take care.